April 1943. A fisherman drifting near the coast of Spain notices something floating in the water. At first, it looks like debris from a shipwreck. But as he gets closer, he realizes the truth. It's a dead man, dressed in the uniform of a British officer. Chained to his wrist is a leather briefcase containing classified military documents. Inside his pockets are letters from his fiancée, theater tickets, receipts, photographs, and personal belongings that make him seem completely real. Everything about the body tells the same story. A British officer died in a plane crash at sea while carrying top-secret Allied intelligence. The documents are quickly passed through Spanish authorities and eventually into the hands of Nazi Germany. Within days, Adolf Hitler himself reads the files, and he believes every word. What Hitler doesn't know is that the man never existed, the documents are fake, and the corpse in front of him is part of one of the most brilliant deception operations in military history. An operation so insane, it actually worked. Tonight, we're diving deep into the unbelievable true story of Operation Mincemeat, the dead man who fooled Hitler and helped change the course of World War II. After the Allied victory in North Africa, one major question remained. Where should the next front in Europe be opened? The most obvious target was Sicily. It opened the way into Italy and allowed control over the Mediterranean Sea. But there was a problem. The Germans understood the importance of Sicily just as well. The Allies knew that if Germany concentrated enough troops on the island, the invasion could turn into a disaster. They needed to convince Hitler that the real attack would happen somewhere else. British intelligence had already spent years developing methods of deception. They understood that lies could sometimes be as powerful as tanks or bombers. That was when an idea appeared that sounded completely insane. Give the enemy a dead body carrying fake secret documents. The plan seemed so absurd that many believed it would fail immediately. But British intelligence decided to take the risk. The operation required the body of a man whose death would look believable after an aircraft crash at sea. After a long search, they chose a Welsh homeless man named Glyndwr Michael. He had died in London after consuming rat poison containing phosphorus. Outwardly, his condition resembled drowning. He had no close family, which allowed the British authorities to use his body without attracting suspicion. Now they needed to create a new identity. That was how Major William Martin was born, an officer of the Royal Marines. They created an entire life for him. In his pockets, they placed letters from a fiancée named Pam, theater tickets, receipts, keys, bills, and even a romantic photograph. British intelligence understood something important. People are made believable by small details. Worn papers, old receipts, personal letters. These were the things that would convince the Germans. Alongside the personal belongings, they placed the most important item: fake classified documents. The papers suggested that the Allies were planning to invade Greece and Sardinia, while Sicily would only be a distraction. Now all they had to do was deliver the body to a place where the Germans would find it. At night, the British submarine HMS Seraph approached the coast of Spain. Spain was officially neutral, but German agents operated there actively. That was exactly what the British were counting on. The body of Major Martin was released into the water near the shoreline. Alongside him floated a diplomatic briefcase containing the secret documents. From that moment, everything depended on chance. If the body was never found, the operation would fail. If the documents were ruined by water, everything would be pointless. If the Spanish authorities suspected deception, the consequences could be catastrophic. Sometime later, fishermen discovered the body. Spanish officials recovered the documents, but the British already knew German intelligence would attempt to examine them secretly. And that is exactly what happened. The documents were carefully opened, photographed, and passed to the Germans. Soon, the information reached Berlin. Hitler believed it. German command concluded that the main Allied invasion would target Greece rather than Sicily. Troops were moved away from the island. Sicily's defenses became weaker. On July 10, 1943, the Allies launched Operation Husky. the massive invasion of Sicily. Tens of thousands of soldiers landed on the shores of the island, and exactly what British intelligence had hoped for happened. German forces were not fully prepared. Some units had already been redirected elsewhere because of the fake documents carried by Major Martin. Even after the invasion had begun, Hitler still believed for some time that Sicily was merely a diversion before the real attack. Operation Mincemeat had worked almost perfectly. The capture of Sicily became a major turning point for the Allies. Soon, Mussolini's regime collapsed, and Italy gradually began leaving the war. The Allies gained a pathway into mainland Europe. The operation did not win the war on its own, but it saved thousands of lives and became one of the most successful military deception operations in history. After the war, many details of the mission remained classified. The true identity of the man whose body had been used to deceive Nazi Germany remained hidden for decades. The story of Glyndwr Michael still raises ethical questions today. Some see him as a victim of a ruthless system. Others see him as a man who, after death, helped change the course of the war. In a cemetery in Spain, there is still a grave marked with the name Major William Martin, a man who never truly existed. And yet this fictional officer managed to deceive Hitler and become part of one of the most dangerous intelligence operations of World War II. If you made it this far, you're not just a viewer, you're the kind of person who looks beyond the surface of history. Because stories like this are only the beginning. Behind every major war, there are hidden operations that never make it into textbooks. Operation Mincemeat was not just a trick with a dead body. It was psychological warfare at the highest level. A single identity changed military strategy. A fabricated life moved real armies, and a man who never existed shaped real history. If you enjoyed this documentary, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because the next story we cover might be even darker and even more unbelievable than this one. And tell me in the comments, what historical operation should we cover next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next documentary.